Hey, how's it going, guys? Domino Paris 21 here, and back to bring you guys my tournament report for ARG Richmond. So, if you guys haven't noticed already, in case you don't happen to follow me on my Facebook page, I was actually able to get another successful top 4 finish, making it my third for ARG Circuit Series. Fortunately, I wasn't able to win. You know, that was like my goal was first place. Because you guys should know, with my previous 2 tops, my first top was obviously the ARG Richmond again last year, or last season, I guess, where I came in second place playing Cross. And I came in third place in Philly to kick off this season with Amon. So I definitely came into Richmond with the ambition of really trying to win the event, but fortunately it fell short for me for top 4. But definitely big shout outs to my buddies from my locals and like my everyday friends, Nathan and Lord Hafrican. You guys probably seen them already on my page. But yeah, my buddy Nathan actually came in first place playing his Ripple deck that he definitely chose to stick with despite the restrictions. So definitely I'm proud of him for just really sticking with his guns, for how strong he felt Ripples still were, how much of a threat they still are, which I still think they are. And he was able to pilot them with success. And definitely to my buddy Lord Hafrican, he came in second place playing D-Robos, his main favorite deck in the game. He wanted to play something else differently, but I kind of pushed him to play D-Robos, and this is actually his first ARG that he attended. So definitely happy for him as well that he was able to, you know, kick things off for himself with a really great, phenomenal start to his play in ARG with the second place finish. So definitely I'm looking forward to the trip to Summer Nationals with all the guys and a few other people too as well. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just fill in on you guys how the rounds went for me overall, and I'm gonna definitely give you guys my updated deck list that I'm playing for Thavas. Although I did already have a deck profile for this, I did a few modifications based on a few discussions I did with some buddies online. I felt it actually helped enhance the deck, and it made a few differences and some key differences in some of my matchups for Richmond. So as you see here, I did play Thavas. I was originally going to play Brawlers because, technically speaking, Brawlers is like my most competitive deck that I do possess. But one of my buddies, he was kind of short a few cards to complete his Brawler deck, which he was planning to play. And given that it was actually, this was his first ARG Circuit Series event, I thought to go ahead and just lend him my deck to kind of, you know, give him a chance to do something for his first ARG tournament. So I decided to go ahead and play Thavas. You know, it's been a while since I actually played Thavas in a tourney, ever since I was done playtesting with it, but I felt Thavas has a pretty balanced matchup, especially against like aggro decks with the ability to retire in certain ways, obviously from Thavas and a few of your strides. And against the control matchups, obviously, of course, the deck is kind of built to counter control with Skyros as a card. Although Brawlers can be like the one control matchup that could be troublesome, but I feel like it has a pretty good balanced matchup overall, and Lambros is still a very ridiculous card. So I think sometimes people take him for granted for how dumb this card is. But yeah, overall the deck fared amazingly well. The slight improvements I made to it for my previous deck profile definitely greatly enhanced this build. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and go over the rounds with you guys and just go ahead and showcase this deck for you guys. So round 1, I actually played against one of my buddies and my locals who was piloting Bluish Flame Liberators. And of course, you guys should know, like, you know, Bluish Flame's got a little bit of a nice upgrade from the Fighters collection, and it really did make a few difference in some of the rounds we played. Overall, it was pretty nice. I did lose 2-0, which was like, it was really weird, this how some of the games went. Like, round 1, I kind of like opened a grade 2, grade 1 to kind of put on my board, but then like I kept drawing, like, I kept like top decking triggers, and even I was barely able to stride, but then I didn't have any plays, so I kind of like just kept drawing like horrible after like turn 2. So it was really difficult to fare against any deck in general if Aquaforce can't like do what they're supposed to do. So I kind of held off as long as I could, but without the early game tempo to create for myself, I was just playing for behind the whole game. And then round 2, the game 2, we both end up having to G-assist, so it was another awkward game for me, for both of us really. So, you know, you can pretty much see that with Aquaforce, if you just can't draw, if you can't open really well or, you know, gain any type of momentum, later on in the game, the game is pretty much lost for you. So unfortunately, that's what happened to me round 1. Round 2, I ended up playing against Jewel Knights, against another guy, another Virginia native, who actually was in top 8 alongside with me in ARG Philly. He was piloting his Jewel Knights. So this time around is actually pretty much my deck doing a 180 from round 1. I was able to, game 1, I was able to, like, God hand him, as in, like, I drew, like, perfectly for the first few turns, so I was able to open Tidal Assault in a board, and I had, like, another Tidal Assault in hand in case he attacked my Tidal Assault, so I had a really, really amazing start, and I was able to close the deal with my first stride, Thavas, which this card's definitely one of my MVPs throughout the tourney. And then round 2, unfortunately, I think it was kind of the same thing. He didn't open really well, and then I kind of did the same thing. So it's kind of like if Aquaforce doesn't get a hand, they are very faulty. But when they do get that God hand, I mean it could be almost unfair in times, especially Tidal Assault. So I was able to win that round. Then round 3, I actually played against another buddy of mine, playing Gear Chronicle, another Virginia native, and just a really good fun time. He actually played me in top 8 in ARG Richmond the first time around. He was actually playing in Gears. So, but yeah, he's just a great guy overall and had a great game with him. I was able to win the round overall. It was kind of weird, like, just round 1, I was able to take advantage of what Aquaforce was able to do best, and Skyros definitely gave me a lot of protection I needed to protect my front row from the Gear Chronicle, like, spin abilities. Game 2, he did, like, double crit me, which, it can happen, but that's just, like, unavoidable. And round 3, same ordeal. It was actually a grade 2 game going back and forth with us, but fortunately for me, I was able to continuously maintain a decent field and decent quality hand with my draws to be able to maintain a good solid grade 2 game. So I was able to kind of close the deal with a first stride Lambros as well. Round 4, let's see. Just trying to remember, guys. Sorry. So let's see. Round 4, I played against my buddy Josh, who was actually borrowing my Brawler deck for the day. And like I said, control matchups, as long as you can get like the Skyros for yourself, and maybe save a few cards you don't want to commit too early, you should do fine against control. But Brawlers is like one of those few exceptions because they can dodge your resist that Skyros gives the front row. So it was definitely a pretty difficult matchup to deal with in general, and it's my deck as well, so it's built so well. But yeah, anyways, but yeah, it was a pretty good back and forth game with me and my friend. It went down to we went straight to game 3, and it was just a really great back and forth match, and definitely one of my MVPs for the matchup was Saberflow Sailor, which is a new addition I put into the deck. It gave me that ability to recover from the, well, I won't say retiring ability, but just the board wiping that Brawlers was able to unleash on me. So I was able to, overall, in the 2 games I won, I was able to create some good early game tempo, kind of put some pressure on him. And at the same time, I do have the capability of retiring his board as well, and Brawlers don't produce any type of attrition for themselves. So if you're able to kind of pressure them, with like the multiple attacks that Aquaforce does, on top of being able to retire, you could definitely put a lot of pressure for against Brawlers and definitely create enough tempo in your favor. So I was able to take advantage of that for 2 games. But overall, just a great game overall, and I'd say probably like my most enjoyable round. Really close too. The next round, I was paired up against a Pale Moon player who was actually undefeated going to last round. I actually cannot remember how he did that last round. I think he lost. I can't remember. I'll get to that in a bit once I look here on my phone. But yeah, it was probably the best Pale Moon deck I've ever seen. I've seen built so far for G-Set era. He had some really great choices, and I'd say, guys, check the description down below to go to that the website, and his deck list should be on there, because I can't recall some of the names of the cards for Pale Moon because I'm not familiar at all with it. But definitely a very interesting game. But yeah, round 1, I was able to win, just taking advantage of early game Tidal Assault and sacking a crit early, which is really ridiculous to do with Tidal Assault. Game 2, great back and forth game between us, and ideally, you know, I was kind of like on the last turn, we are both hitting our second strides. I was going off with Lambros kind of like for my final push, because like again, it's a back and forth game. He, it was really weird because he had a really, you know, obviously he had a small hand size. He couldn't guard, he literally could not guard the Lambros. But he actually was able to 6 damage heal on me twice in that same turn. Which, you know, even if he 6 damage heal just one time, I don't think he was able to guard the last attacks anyway. But the second one, like, sealed the deal, you know, in terms of him surviving that turn. And I didn't have anything to defend because, like I said, it was a very back and forth game. But he was able to heal on 6 damage twice in that same turn, so pretty heartbreaking. But you know, it happens in the game. And I remember game 3, it was again another back and forth game. I was able to kind of like successfully Lambros him to pretty much extract almost just about every card on his field and every card in his hand, with the exception of one card in his hand. And then his top deck, I remember when he drew that card, he was really ecstatic, really excited, because it was actually a stride enabler, which he was able to top deck away into striding, which I don't know the name of the Pale Moon stride, but I guess it's the GR that can, like, you know, call out a whole field. And then he was able to do that, you know, crazy Pale Moon loop combo, just get all these attacks off. And of course, you know, I couldn't, it was a back and forth game, I wasn't able to defend, but yeah, it was definitely a really great game. Unfortunately, you know, bad luck had to strike me twice, both games, but really nothing to be salty about, because, you know, even my opponent admitted that, you know, he was a little lucky, but it was a really great game back and forth regardless. And like I said, you know, he piloted his deck really well, amazingly well, and I'd say that's probably like the best built Pale Moon deck I've seen so far for G-Break era. But definitely shout outs to Toby, that was his name. If you're watching this, that was definitely a great match, and hopefully I can see you again, we can have another good one. And then last round. So then going into last round, I actually faced another buddy of mine who I used to see at locals a lot, but I know he hasn't been playing the game as often. But he was actually piloting his Bermudas, just G-Stride Bermudas, and just another good game. Game 1, I lost. He built a lot of great tempo, a lot of great advantage, like mid-game from the first stride, and I was able to recover from that. Overall, I just wasn't able to recover from that, and I had a pretty bad start as well for myself. Game 2, it almost started off pretty bad for me, but I was able to hit a few offensive successful heals to kind of put my damage down pretty low, so that I can kind of sustain his attacks, and I was able to seal the deal with Lambros. So that was great. In Game 3, it almost started off pretty bad for me, but then I was able to hit yet another offensive successful heal which kind of made a key difference in one turn when I was able to successfully guard some of the big attacks that he was able to execute. And also, like for my first stride, he was like at 4 damage. I remember going into Thavas, and then I called Adelaide for my hand. Gave +5 to the Adelaide, and she was boosted by my starter, and that's all I had. But I didn't hit like any triggers like all game, like at least crits are concerned. So I had like 14 triggers in my deck. So I gave +5 to Adelaide, so she was 16 already. So I just swung my Vanguard, and I ended up hitting crit, and heal trigger, I believe, or draw trigger. But yeah, it was swinging for 31 crit 2 and then 36 crit 2, and although his hand size was sizable, he was not able to guard it. And obviously being at 4 damage, he had to take the hit. He wasn't able to heal, and I was able to seal the game that way. So, I mean, hey, with that round I had with Pale Moon, with some bad luck on my side, it was pretty nice to at least have some sacky good luck on my side for that last round, which counted. So I ended up finishing the day as X2. So it was interesting for the top 8 because I was the only X2 that made it, technically speaking, just because all the players that were X1 and above, they decided to actually draw. So some of you guys don't know, if you win the round, it's 3 points. But if you actually take a draw, it's 1 point. But basically, with the math that I actually discussed with some other guys prior to the last round, if you already have 12 points going in, basically X1, and you draw to take 1 point, then you have 13 points, which guarantees you top 8. So, like, pretty much everyone above me, like, tables above me, that was, like, X1 or undefeated, they decided all to split, it looks like, which is fine. I mean, that's kind of like what I did in Philly as well, just to kind of guarantee guarantee the top. I know it definitely upset a few players like down below me that were X2, but you know, hey, what can you do? All you can hope for is just hopefully you won early enough to be in that position, and I'm sure if you were in that position and you can guarantee the top 8, I mean, it's something to take advantage of. But yeah, I was able to make right at the cut of top 8 X2 because I had amazing tiebreakers because the Pale Moon player I played against was undefeated to the last round, so he was an amazing tiebreaker for me. So yes, I went into top 8. I played against the #1 seed, which was she was playing Thavas as well, and I was able to win 2-0 in that match. Although game 2, I know she did not open well, and she kind of had to like G assist to go into 3 after playing grade 2 game for a little bit to try and make a push, but I kind of built a pretty decent advantage early on to be able to sustain her first stride, and I was able to, you know, finish off the game from there. And then top 4, where I actually lost to my buddy Nathan piloting Ripples, and so you guys should know, like, when Ripples at least have a decent head start, like, it's just so much damage they can just put out in one turn that it's just hard to recover from that. Like, game 1, he opened terrible. He, like, rode Genovius, had, like, all triggers in hand, so I just took full advantage of that. Game 2, he was able to do what Ripples did best, had a great early game, and I just couldn't recover from that. And game 3 was kind of like the similar fashion. I had a really bad start. It was actually worse than game 2. And he even made he made a good play, too, with the crit to search out his Genovius card, mate, to essentially to perform the skill to restand all his rear guards, so that was pretty much was able to seal the game for him. So yeah, so he went on to the finals and was able to win the whole tourney. But definitely good job to you, Nathan, and hopefully we'll have a rematch soon. But yeah, Nathan's just a buddy of mine who who I'm obviously close friends with week to week, and you know, he's definitely proud of his Ripples, and that was his first ARG he attended, so definitely proud of him for, you know, winning the first ARG he attended. I know that's something I still want to try and do, but, you know, hey, we could dream big, right? But yeah, that's pretty much how the tournament turned out. I think there were like a total of 40 players exactly. So pretty sizable, just for, you know, little old Richmond. So I'm definitely looking forward to some more events. Most likely it's going to be Nats because I don't see myself traveling to like Pittsburgh or anything out of state anytime soon, unless maybe it's Maryland to participate. But yeah, guys. So before, of course, I send you guys off, as I promised, I'm going to go ahead and showcase the deck for you guys, my updated Thavas deck. So, of course, we have your 4 Thavas, which they're still common, I know. Agent, if you're watching, I know. I'm actually getting some hollow ones for myself in the mail, and no, I'm not getting SPs because they're too expensive for my blood, and obviously, Avgo Force is not my #1 passion in this game. Then your 4 Skyros. He was kind of supposed to be my MVP for the deck, but like I only faced Brawlers as the only control deck, and that was like the worst control to deal with. So, you know, he was there available for me like game to game if I needed to use him, and he actually got me there one time where I was forced to ride him first, but he got me the grade 3 I needed just to get a stride for the following turn, which I did not have. So you still want him in the deck for those control matchups, because it was like I didn't face any Link Jokers, I didn't face any like Kagero, nothing. Like Link Joker was like my biggest fear coming in, but like I don't even think I've seen like hardly that many Link Joker players, at least from where I was sitting. Triggers to get him out of the way, they're still the same. 8 crit, 4 draw, 4 heal. Not much more different there, same exact cards. For grade 2s, I'm gonna go with 4 Tidal Assault, definitely the MVP for me for a lot of my wins. Being able to open Tidal Assault, decent board, maybe you're hitting a trigger for icing on the cake. It's just really, really amazing. So Tidal Assault definitely got to play at 4. Still sticking with the 3 Magnum Assaults and 2 Adelaide. Definitely would not change these ratios. And then 2 Saber Flow Sailor. So she was definitely one of my MVPs, especially in the Brawler against the Brawlers. Because being able to draw 2, get her off the board. Well, first off, if you guys know what she does, GB1 at the end of the battle, at the end of the 4th battle or more that she attacked the Vanguard, you retire her, draw 2 cards. So obviously, if you leave her on the field, she's probably gonna get blown up anyway by Brawlers or punched away. So just retire her for them, and then drawing 2 is really great for recovery options. So I was still able to kind of still have a little bit of offensive play for myself, and then have the recovery options that actually lead to pluses for myself. So this card was fantastic against, definitely in a lot of my rounds I was able to win. So definitely happy for that for this change that I made. Then grade 1s, 4 perfects. So I was supposed to get unflipper G perfect guards, but I don't know, because I thought I would counterblast more than I thought, but I found myself, I didn't really counterblast too much unless, you know, until like towards late game, because you will use a lot of counterblast, but it's more like towards the late game when you're making your pushes. But I was kind of happy for these, because there was actually a few times I was able to like protect my Magnum Assault or Tidal Assault that I needed to stay on board for some follow-up plays next turn, so these probably may end up just staying in the deck. Then 4 Stride Enablers, I mean, self-explanatory there. Then you have your Melanie, or Melania. I don't know, I like calling her Melanie. But definitely amazing card for the day. She's like another she's probably like my all-star for the grade 1s. That draw ability was fantastic, and of course using her with Lambros, I was able to like resolve her twice in one turn. There was actually one game I had both of them on the field and I resolved it 3 times. So it was really, really silly. Plus the resistibility is obviously another reason to play her, but fantastic card. Keep in mind that if you do ride Skyros, you can still go into Thavas and then her skills will still work. So I know that was a concern for some people. Then I run 2. I call her Hestia. Obviously, if you've ever seen Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in the Dungeon, because that's what she looks like. But Orthia is her name. But yeah, just pretty much makes whatever in front of her a Tidal Assault. Helped out really a lot to make a few plays, and she's an enabler that sits in the backfield, which was important for me a few times. And then 2 Stacia. So still just 2 of each for these. Pretty simple. And then for the starter, I played Andri. So I was playing Mitros for the reasons I kind of explained the deck profile. I don't want to explain again. But yeah, I kind of decided to go with Andri, or Andre. Yeah, Andri, just because she is an enabler for myself that can sit in the backfield. And, you know, she's just a really good card to have kind of like in the hole for certain things, because like what I did a lot of times in the first stride, I'll go like Thavas, obviously give something plus 5k, and then I'll tag it with Andri, so it's 16k twice, and if I hit a trigger, that's 21, so that's like 15k shield each attack. So you definitely get a lot of value from that play, or again, if I'm desperate just to get an enabler out, which I may not have handy, then I just use her. So definitely really glad I kind of made the switch to the starters. I could still play Mitros. There are a few times I kind of wish I had Mitros, so I think it's back and forth. But Andri, definitely for what she brought for me, definitely she brought more value for me than what Mitros did. And then for Stride lineup, it's pretty much the same. You know, you got your 4 Lambros, of course, like one of the best strides in the game. 2 Thavas Stride. This card's amazing. Really love this card. And then, you know, your one Tidal Bore and 1 Aristotle. Aristotle, phenomenal first stride. I definitely got to say with Thavas. Being able to retire 2 in an Aquaforce deck is amazing. But there you have it, guys. That is just the deck for you guys. That's the report. Definitely give a like below if you haven't already. Definitely like my Facebook page if you want to be updated on what's going on with me in terms of events and everything, because I know it's just difficult for me recently just to upload videos constantly to update you guys and such. But I try my best to kind of keep you guys at least posted quickly on my Facebook page. And definitely check, like I said, check out the description link in below to check out the more details of the Circuit Series event, like with the top 8. Because I think there was also an Asha deck that made top 8 as well, so that's something interesting to look at. But anyways, guys, definitely got to say I love this map. I'm glad it doesn't have any girls on it. Just a really cool, badass Phantom Blaster on it, so definitely I like this art. But anyway, guys, thank you guys again for watching, and see you guys next time. Later.